Oi, 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 YouTube. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to youtube.com/DyllonKG. Today we're doing something a little different. I've been meaning to do one of these for a long time. We haven't gotten to it, but we finally have a user-submitted clip. So we will be reviewing their Survivor gameplay today, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit. One thing I did want to say is if you guys would like to hop into our Discord, you guys could submit gameplay to be reviewed, or you can DM it to me on Discord if you don't want it to be public. That is okay as well. I don't know everything. I'm not the best at the game. I can give you third-party perspective, and it'll be constructive, and I hope it helps you. Remember that my way isn't the highway as we take a look at this and, help out. So today we're looking at a Survivor match on the Temple of Purgation. I believe that this is against a Huntress. Now we see in the bottom right-hand corner, they have Spine Chill, Sprint Burst, Resilience, and Adrenaline. So a little bit of like a window vaulting build. Spine Chill is going to be good. I think for early survivors, I think it's really good to bring Spine Chill and, you know when the killer's coming towards you. Really good job here at the beginning, seeing the Spine Chill and not necessarily moving until you saw her coming your way. So good stuff there. Good job waiting, seeing if you could go back to the gen. Really good stuff. Now at this point, I would stop leaving scratch marks. Yeah, panning your camera to where she was. This is the closest hook though. The thing is here, you left scratch marks that kind of led right to you. So you have to be a little bit careful. It takes about 7 seconds for scratch marks to go away. So it's a good thing that maybe they've dissipated by now. She's not going to track you or come over here. It's smart that the Huntress reloaded here. At this point, though, I would have left. I would go ahead and sprint away. She's going to go for that hook. There you go. Go ahead and get on another gen. You don't want to waste too much time, considering your teammates are dropping like flies. There's a gen to your left. There's always a gen in this corner. Somewhere in this corner, almost always. And it looks like you kind of have a sixth sense for that almost. So 2 people down. He's not hooking anybody right now. So it's good that you just get on a gen for a second. She's going to probably go back to the first person and hook them. A lot of people at this point would come out of the woodworks and try to heal the slug. You have to be really careful here because especially against a Huntress, they're going to expect that and hit you from a distance. Slugging somebody as a killer, for me, my perspective, when I go to, down somebody, I down them knowing somebody's going to come out of hiding to get them, So it kind of pulls everybody out of hiding, if you will, especially at lower ranks. It's actually kind of smart to slug. She's definitely over-slugging, and this is kind of, in my opinion, kind of an asshole thing to do. She's not going for any hooks. I don't understand the game plan here at all. She's just trying to slug everybody and win that way. Any killer mains that watch this, slugging everybody doesn't give you tons of points. You're not going to rank up that way. You certainly won't get more than, 15 or 15,000 blood points or something like that. It's not going to be a good idea. So at this point, being the only person up, this is the smart play. Sprint burst over, get this guy up, see what happens. There's not a lot you could do here. I would say playing conservatively was the smartest thing you could do. One thing I'll say is be sure you're panning your camera a little bit upwards. Especially like when you're healing, you want to see if she's like making a move for it or not. So, the Nia wants to run off and go do something. Right now you have to play savior. So she's coming back for the first slug more than likely. Good job tracking the red stain. Good job being patient here. Really good job being patient and not just sprinting. Too many survivors give away their own position just by being scared and sprinting away. Knowing that you're not leaving scratch marks is really valuable. Now, you did leave some scratch marks right there. Doesn't look like she's paying enough attention, so this person's trying to Kobe off the hook. That sounds about right. Remember, survivors trying to get off the hook, you have a 4% chance of escape on each hook. It doesn't add up. It's 4% every attempt. So don't try to attempt escape. There's no need to. He's got a med kit. He'll probably heal himself. Good job there. You're the team's savior at this point. Again, when you're looking at the survivors, just picking them up, just keep your camera panned a little higher. You don't need to be looking at them to get the prompt to heal or anything like that. Something small. No big deal. Now, you could barely hear the hum. So, you know that you're, within about 40 meters of the Huntress. Now, you're trying to go back to one of the generators that you'd started, hoping it's got something on it. And sadly, it doesn't look like it. It looks like you're going back to the gen that you originally started, which Nia might be at. This is a good plan. All too often, people will start gens and never go back to them. And it sounds like this one has a lot of progress. Yeah, see, this is the smart thing. Get one gen done. You could have started progress on a different gen, but you came to this one, and this one's really, really smart. This is about, you know, 75-80% done. Mr. Skill Check, you know, it happens. It takes about 86 seconds to do a generator. I believe 86, somewhere around 80. If you don't miss any skill checks, if you don't have a toolbox, if you don't have something like leader, etc., if you don't have additional things, if you're not hitting all great skill checks, right? So, looks like she is looking your way. Good job waiting this out. You do have sprint burst, and you're sitting on it. You're not just panicking. Good job sitting on the gen. Looks like Hex Huntress Lullaby is now gone. You're trying to pan the camera. I respect it. She's not pulling any hatchets right now, so there's no need to like really bob or weave. Practice rotating that camera. There you go. Yeah, see, it is a little bit weird to do, but she got a little lost back there somewhere. Let's see. This is really good. There was a vault to your... Yeah, there was a vault to your left there. Learning the map is hard. This map has a little bit of variance on this inside area. Now, at this point, I would maybe start walking because she doesn't know where you are. You are leaving scratches that lead right to you, but let's see what happens here. All right. Looks like she's just bleeding people out on the ground, which is ridiculous. This is not a way to play. Very frustrating. I don't know that there's a lot that you're going to be able to do in this match, but this kind of blows my mind. I haven't seen gameplay like this in a real long time. I guess at least she's not face camping. I don't know. I would prefer face camping to this. At least you get out of the match and you... Letting somebody bleed on the ground as a killer is a 4-minute timer. There's no reason to play that way. It doesn't benefit you as killer. It doesn't help you. You don't get any blood points out of it. You get the most blood points in the game you get for hitting survivors and hooking survivors. Not even their death. You get most of your points from hooking because you get 3 different hooks, you know. She's coming back. Let's see what happens. Everybody's bunched up. You tried to pull aggro. Looks like they're on console because they definitely over-rotated. So, but good job pulling aggro on her. She M1s. I don't know how good she is with hatchets. Or how confident they are. Let's see. Not super. Yeah, I would try to work on panning that camera, especially against a Huntress. There you go. There you go. That's good. That's smart. No red stain. She doubled back. So that's one thing I want to address real quick. And I know we haven't really had a reason to pause this too much, but so right here, you know 100% that she's going to be coming your direction, right? And you can see that she has the red stain. For any survivors who are inexperienced, this, you see the red right here. That's the cone of vision that the killer has, right? It you know, it comes out and it kind of just illuminates the area in front of them. And that's designed so that survivors can see where the killer's coming from, right? So if we look here, now it looks like she's actually going to round the corner. Somehow this Huntress actually thinks to cut you off. She's been slugging all match, so I expect that she's not particularly good, but she actually does think to come through here. Now, the telltale sign here is to see what happens here. So, at this point, you should be able to see a red stain here. If she were still coming around this way, you would still see a red light. You would start to see something lighten up red right here. But the fact that you didn't leads me to believe that, okay, if there's no red light here, then she got to about here, and then she doubled back. All right. So let's take a look and see. That's exactly what happened. And hit. So remember that as you're rounding objects, look for the red stain. If there's no red stain, they're not there, right? Unless you're against a ghost face, right? But if there's no red stain, they're not rounding the corner. And it's probably safe to double back, right? Now, in later, like, high-level matches, people are going to moonwalk to hide the red stain. All kinds of, like, high-tier, etc., etc. But for the most part, keep that in mind. As you get better at turning your camera and things like that, you'll want to keep an eye on Is there a red stain? Is there, you know, a cone of vision? Can I see where they're coming from? Up to this point, though, you've played really well prioritizing gens and healing appropriately. This team doesn't have their stuff together. I think you're definitely the pack leader here. One person's on a gen, which is a blessing in disguise. You can see over here, but these two are just now healing. One of them just missed a skill check, which means the killer's maybe on their way over. So this is definitely a little bit of a nightmare, but you definitely played so far to the best of your ability. The only thing I can say is the stuff you have to learn is going to take time, but in terms of trying to pan the camera, prioritizing gens, you have a really good game sense. It's just about figuring out, you know, how to get the minute, finer details figured out. Now, you sit on first state on the hook for about 60 seconds. So you have 1 minute to sit on the hook before you go into struggle phase. And it looks like your 1 minute is about up. Again, she's just slugging the bill. I don't understand this Huntress. I'm not really sure what she's doing. Yeah, this bill had to take a second. All right, he's not going to heal. Of course, can't count on him to heal. You don't hear the hum? So let's see what you do. There's no hum right now, so she's not within 40 meters. You did, unfortunately, burn your sprint burst. You started to sprint, and then you stopped. The killer is right there, though. You are leaving scratches. She doesn't seem to be targeting you, but obviously she could see you because she's chasing Bill. And she's... Oh, dude, I do not condone this style of play. This is ridiculous. It's not sportsmanlike, and honestly, I would have reported her. She's only hooking like every fourth person. Yeah, that's insane. That person has almost entirely bled out. If you look in the bottom left, they had been on the ground for over 3 minutes at one point. That's rough. Yeah, I would have reported the heck out of her. And I don't blame this Bill for trying to get out of the match either. That sucks, man. But I don't blame him. Just move on. Yeah, he's barely gotten to even play this game. Unfortunately, the other Bill tried to farm him. Now, what I will say here is you spend a lot of time doing absolutely nothing. And this is where I would say tighten this up a little bit and just go sit on a gen. So, again, you know, you tried to come here. You tried to help this Bill out. But if if we scrub forward a little bit, there's a lot of just nothing that's happening right here. Just a ton of nothing. Knowing she's around, it's either you go for Bill, you pick him up, and then you leave, or you go do a gen. There's a little bit of indecisiveness here, and I think mistakes are okay in Dead by Dead. It's okay to make a play that's like a little bit risky, right? So here's the thing I would have gone for, right? So here you are, all right? So you go for the heal. Good job here. She's clearly looking around at where she dropped the Bill. She's not 100% sure where he went. Which happens because of server desync. All right, so you heal him, and then I think you assumed she was going to slug the other Bill. So at this point, it's not safe to work on this generator. Like, this isn't a safe spot to want to be. So in my opinion, you should have gone left to the shack, or around the temple to the next gen. I don't know that just like waiting around here was like the play. I understand trying to hide in case she like hooks him and comes for you, but you have a ton of time right here to make a ton of distance. Also, you have to think about the fact that you as Meg are making a ton of noise. You are so loud. So even just hiding here isn't the play. Unless you're running Iron Will, just hiding isn't really smart, right? Because you have to think, you left a few scratch marks over here. And if she caught that, she's going to come over here. Now, so this is a little bit of waste of time, right? She's checking the one gen nearest to her. But remember that on a more astute player, they would have seen the scratch marks and they would have heard the crow that you just set off. So as you rank up and get better as Survivor, killers are also going to notice those smaller things. Now at this point, honestly, it's a good thing you stuck around, but let's wait and see like what happens afterwards, okay? Because one of two things can happen here. She'll pick him up. She probably won't. But if she does pick him up, then you can go for the unhook if he decides to stay on the hook. But it seems like she's just slugging everybody. So let's see what happens. There was no reason to start the gen here. No reason to start the gen. If nothing else, like, gens are loud. When you start a generator, killers hear that. So, yeah, there was no way you were going to get that gen done. She seems to have picked up the other survivor. So you can see here, if the health bar is glowing the way it is, how it has this red outline, that means that they've been picked up by the killer. So at this point, you could have gone back to the bill and unhooked him, but that's not quite what happened. So paying a little bit more attention there was a bit of a scramble moment where you were like, okay, you know, you could see here, she's picked him up. He's not slugged anymore. There's no, you know, aura. But when you touched the gen, there was like a panic moment where you just straight up turned around. So you touched the gen, and at this point, you didn't see what she was doing at all. You were just like, I need to leave. It was a little bit of a delayed response, because I would say like the I need to leave should have happened earlier, maybe. But now at this point, she's literally walking away with the survivor. You could have got Bill off the hook and kept going, right? So just a little bit of like a lack of awareness. You should be going back for Bill now, but I think maybe at this point you're like, it's too little too late. I can't get back to him. That person's dead. Bill's dead. So one person died because you didn't go back. Now, that's not a lot of pressure to put on yourself, because at the end of the day, you're all dead anyway, right? Unless you get Hatch or something, right? Because this Huntress is just being brutally mean, and yeah, so... you 99 the sprint burst. I don't know that I would have used it. I would have kept walking. There you go. So what I would have done here, this is like a more of a high tier thing to do. But before using the sprint burst, we're going to back it up quite a bit here. So at this point, we don't know exactly where the Huntress is. We know that she's somewhere to our right because that's where she kind of hooks somebody. But that's all we really know, right? So let's keep playing it. Now, good observation there is, wait for a second. I don't know if you caught this, but here's the killer. That's where the killer is. So, and you can see the red stain, actually, right here on these rocks. That's the red stain. So, you know the killer's kind of over in this direction, but you use the sprint burst prematurely. What you always want to do is sprint burst. And against Huntress, this is a little bit spookier because she does have a long-range weapon. But you don't really want to use the sprint burst until you can get maximum distance. Because what happens here is if you go... so here's the shack, right? And let's just say the killer's right here, and you're right here. Actually, let's go ahead and let's say the killer is right here, because that's about accurate to where we are, right? And there's the doorway, and there's the other doorway, and there's a window. So say you sprint burst right now. You sprint burst out and this way. Well, at this point, all the killer really has to do is come around, right? That's it. And then you're locked into a shack loop or something like that, right? So you're not really getting distance out of your sprint burst is really what I'm saying here. You want to use sprint burst as effectively as possible. So in a perfect world, and I know this is a very different scenario, but you would want the Huntress to almost see you and try to get close to you. And so you would keep walking, whether that was you walking, you know, into the shack or whatever, you would keep walking. And ideally you would probably walk into the shack just to get cover from a hatchet, right? And then at that point, what you would end up doing is taking... and you would, you know, say the Huntress was here and you had walked into shack and you were here. Now there's enough distance where you can go with your sprint burst, and all the Huntress can really do is just follow you for a bit, right? Until she gets more line of sight, and then she could try throwing hatchets and things like that. But this gives you maximum distance for you to really get as much out of sprint burst as you can. Sprint burst is a weird beast. It takes a long time to learn, but just remember to save it up. Because at some point, you sprint burst, and then she could have just walked over here. You really don't know where she is. You're hoping she doesn't know. Now, good news is she's over here, so it's not a big deal. But just, again, prep you for future things to work on. I think you're doing a really good job at being the team's savior and the team's like best player. The other thing I would really, really say, this is something survivors don't think about very often. When you're looping around stuff, try to run these tighter. Try to stay as close as you can to this edge, because you're trying to maximize the amount of distance you have on the killer, right? If you're running this really tight, you're going to get a lot more distance, and you're going to be able to run from them a lot longer than if you come out here, run it wide, and then come out here and run it wide. Hopefully that makes some sense here. So as we play this forward, there's a pretty large amount of distance here between you and the wall. You would want to round this and stay on it a lot tighter. Just, again, to give you as much distance out of your chase as possible. All right. The other thing to do here is, again, just working on panning your camera, right? So right here, we don't know exactly where she went, right? So you would kind of want to pan your camera into the shack. You could see through all these boards, right? You could see through all this stuff. So you would be able to see if the killer's in here or not. So just keeping an eye on where the killer is. You would also, I mean, if the killer wasn't in here, you would want to see if the killer were behind you or not, so you could plan your next move. Remember that Survivor's about planning. Okay, the killer's behind me. Here's my next step, etc. So run these a little bit tighter. Stay a little bit closer to the wall. Now the killer is here, so this doesn't sound like it's going to end well. Let's see what happens. Yep, that's, I mean, so this is all speculation, but if you had run closer to the wall and then taken this turn just a little bit tighter, and really hug the wall on the other side, the odds of you getting the pallet were actually a lot higher. But at some point, instead of hugging this wall, you actually wasted a little bit of your time juking outwards. And part of that may just be trying to juke any potential hit that the killer goes for. But what's really, really, really important is that you just try to maximize and be very intentional. Anytime that you're not moving directly towards like a pallet is time lost and wasted. And knowing that there's a pallet here, and maybe you didn't know there's a pallet here, right? Because that just, it takes a long time to get that working knowledge. But so here, again, if you'd taken this a little tighter and then ran that really tight, you can already see the red stain. It's kind of weird. This killer waits a really long time to hit you. Maybe they're smart enough to think you have dead hard. But if you had, again, see this distance here. You want to run this a little tighter. Because she downs you and she kind of, like, it's possible, it's speculation, you maybe could have gotten to the pallet. But, you know, it is what it is. Not a huge deal. She's gonna slug you. Oh my god. So, and she got hit with a hatchet as she entered a locker. So let's see how the rest of this match goes. She picks you up. Somehow, wait, do you wiggle off? I wanted to skip if she slugged you forever. Because that hook was taken somehow. Yeah, you wiggled off. She tried to drop you. So that's one tip, by the way, if you guys don't know. You can see the wiggle meter wasn't full. What she was going to do is drop you. I don't know why she was going to drop you. I guess she was just going to let you bleed on the floor and die that way. Really, again, don't do that, killers. Good lord. Because there's not a hook that she knows is available. So what happens is you can actually see right here the wiggle meter isn't actually full. But if she goes to drop you, you actually get a bunch of your wiggle meter. It actually, it gives you, I would say like 20% of your wiggle meter fills, 15 to 20%. I don't know the exact number. Good job. You got away. You sprint bursted. You went to the outside edge of the map. And this is something you'll get better at over time. You really want to just go right for the pallets, right? A lot of survivors, when they first start the game, for some reason, they do this outside edge stuff. They hide behind trees. It's really strange. I don't know if that's you. I know people have that tendency. I know I did when I started. But practice being really intentional. And again, just knowing like, okay, there's a pallet in the shack. That's where I'm going. And just making that move a lot more direct just to maximize your distance, right? I'm sure I'm sure wiggling out of her grasp actually helped you or took you a little bit off guard. Now, your camera's panned down pretty far. Again, you're trying to look for hatch. I don't blame you. I always try to keep the horizon on screen because you might, see the hatch on it. I don't think you want to pan it so low that you don't see it. Because it doesn't help you much more, in my opinion. But that's just a personal thing. Figure out what works best for you there. I think having it too far down is kind of detrimental because you don't know what's coming up. Let's see if you find hatch here. Now, hatch will usually spawn on the tops of hills or near jungle gyms or near the shack. Those are like the places to check out. Jungle gyms being the areas with walls, windows, and pallets. So the one that she got caught on earlier, something like that. Good job not fast vaulting the window. You don't want to make any sound if you don't have to. She closed the hatch. So you got adrenaline. So let's see what happens here. I think you can conceivably make it out. But you'll have to be careful. Or she'll have to be, not paying attention. It takes 20 seconds to open a door. So you might make this out here. We'll see what happens. It seems like she closed the hatch probably over there near the shack or near the other door. And Spine Chill's going, so you get that little boost. There you go. Spine Chill actually boosted you through that one a little bit. There you go. Good job. Yeah, I don't have crazy notes for you. I would say, you know, the pretty normal stuff. That match was like scuffed from the beginning. The amount of slugging she did was insane. I mean, you know, if you're in brown and yellow ranks, I don't expect survivors to get away from stuff like that. That killer, I want to check the rank here. That killer, I definitely shouldn't have played that way, IMO. That's not fun for anybody. I hope we see ranks here. Not bad. So you're rank 15. Okay, that's good. We didn't get to see their rank. It's, you know, sometimes it's better not to check that stuff personally. So, I have very few notes on that one. I think you did a really good job, you know, picking people up. There's just a few things that, and it takes a lot of time to learn how to do when it comes to chasing, watching the red stain, sticking really close to walls, and, yeah, I mean, maximizing your distance. You got a lot of points there, so I think you did a lot of stuff right, way more stuff than wrong, and it's going to take a lot of time to correct the stuff that was quote unquote not right, you know what I mean? So all in all, you know, I think you crushed it. So thank you guys for showing up for this one. What did you think of this review? If you guys want to submit anything to this, go to our Discord in the description below. Submit us some footage to look at. Let us know if you want it on YouTube or not. I appreciate you guys coming through. Unclench your jaw. Get some water. All right? And I will pray to the entity to see you in the next video.